Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today I felt called to do what might be a fairly quick reading. It will depend on how it sort of plays out. But the message from Spirit in a way was simple, to the point, and positive, which I really like. And it's sort of partly kind of inspired by getting purchasing a Blue Angel deck called Blessed Be. So there's some cards there from that. So like blessings that are brought to one. And so the message here is a blessing that is coming to you from liminal space. So something that either is just starting now or is going to come in to help you in the 3D world, a blessing there. So this is really about recognizing the blessing and then being able to use it to its highest good. So we're going to start, there is a clue, or this is the first blessing, this is the blessing. So part of your choice is to kind of tune into what you think is the blessing that's coming to you. But there will be a second blessing at the end that ties back to this, that either is the next step on the blessing or complements it in some way. And in between, we're going to be looking with tarot and with astrology around more information about how the blessing is going to manifest. So just put out the numbers for those that choose by numbers. That's fine. But otherwise, I would say, certainly by all means meditate, and if you feel drawn to a particular image or a pile, that's fine. Go with your intuition, absolutely. But otherwise, it may be useful to contemplate what the blessing is, because that is going to be a core part of it. So pile number one, it brings a blessing on your sleep. So if you have been dealing with sleep problems, or if you are having sort of strange dreams that you're trying to interpret or something like that, then that may be the sign that this is a blessing that is being brought to you. For pile number two, there's a blessing for solace and hope. So if either of those things are the case, either you're getting over something or you're hopeful about something, that could be connected to that. And pile three is a blessing for healing of injury or illness. So that feels very specific. I do think that, but it could be perspective. So it could be that, if you feel drawn to that and you haven't had an injury or illness, it might be that you're going to, and it might be as simple as you're going to sprain your ankle or something like that. So don't see it as awful. This is a blessing. So whatever it is, whether you're experiencing it at the moment or whether it's sort of something that's coming up and Spirit wants you to be aware of it, there's a very strong thing of being aware there's a blessing around it. So that may help you choose. They were the ones that intuitively came out when I asked Spirit for the blessing for each pile for this collective. So as I say, that might help you choose, but choose whatever way works for you, because this could also be allegorical. Like any of these could be allegorical as well, depending upon how you resonate to that energy. When you know what reading or readings, and by all means go to more than one if you want, when you know what one you want or ones you want, the timestamps as always are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile one to your reading. As I said, there's a second blessing that's going to finish the reading. We'll look at that at the end of the reading, but you've come to the reading around a blessing on your sleep. And these are cards from the White Owl Mystic deck to give me a little bit more information, to try and kind of work out, before we move into tarot, how this sort of blessing is going to manifest. So as I said in the introduction, I feel like there's a very obvious one, which is that if you have had troubled sleep, if you have a tendency to have insomnia, either chronically or occasionally, any other kind of sleep issues, sleep apnea, any of those sort of things, there is a blessing around this. And obviously, if it's a medical condition like sleep apnea, part of the blessing would be to go and get the medical advice. But just in general, I'm just trying to think about the various sort of almost obvious things that could come along sleep. But it could also be that, you've been going through a lot, and sleep, just quietening a very racing mind. It could be any of those sort of things. It could also be a blessing on your sleep in that, particularly with this owl here, that there is a message of wisdom coming to you. Psychically, you may be one of those people who very much gets sort of messages. Dream interpretation is important, predictive, prophetic dreams, all those sort of things. So it could be a range of those, or any one of those that is a blessing for you, depending upon your personal circumstances. It's interesting that what we got from the White Owl Mystic are two astrology signs. And I think this may be showing the core of this. I do think, as I say, that for some of you, this is about downloads and spiritual stuff coming through. And in any case, with what I'm going to say, that could be also part of the blessing, that you're going to get from the liminal space advice and ideas and so forth to deal with things. But I feel like this is a balance. What might be making your sleep disturbed, or what might be making it necessary for you to get downloads, is a kind of a balance operating between the material side of life and the life that you want, and almost your idea of it, or the way that you're communicating it with the world. So, for instance, if you were someone who was not clear on what you wanted. So with Gemini, it can sometimes be two sides of a coin, and you can sort of say this one day and say another thing another day. And that's not saying that you're lying. It's just that you're very mercurial, and that's very fast and moves and looks at all the kind of levels. It could be an issue around how you communicate that is affecting you bringing in materially what you want, because maybe you're confusing people, or it's hard to sort of know what you're going to settle to do, or hard for you to even decide. It could also be that the life that you want is having some sort of issues around communication with others, that kind of thing, or even the information that's coming to you. You don't feel you have enough information. If that's the case, I feel like this blessing is that there is going to be signs for you, downloads for you that's going to help. If it is more to the point that that kind of issue is affecting, whether you feel like you can fall asleep, a blessing is coming to help you do that, so that you can relax the mind and let the manifestation occur as it should occur, rather than getting caught up in the energy of it. So I get a sense with this group that you're very quick-minded, you're very, very sort of mercurial, as I say, very sort of like almost ahead, like you're always ahead. So there is a kind of a prophetic side of this, but the issue that might be either trying to be solved in your sleep, that this blessing is around, or which is affecting your sleep, has to do with the groundedness of the life that you want. So let's get some information from tarot. So we're going to ask, firstly, how will this blessing first manifest for you? Then we're going to ask, how do you use it for your highest good? And then we're going to ask, is there anything you don't see that would be useful to see? So firstly, how does this blessing on your sleep, given that we seem to have something about the balance between the mind, information, communication, and the life, creating the life and manifesting the life, how are you first going to see this blessing? 8 of Cups reversed, Knight of Cups upright, 10 of Pentacles reversed, 7 of Wands upright, Ace of Cups upright. Okay. So this could be manifesting whatever is affecting your sleep, or whatever wants to come through your sleep. It's on either side. It's kind of like it's encapsulated by emotion. It's letting go of old emotion that you're finding hard to let go of, to let in new emotion. So as I say, it could very well be that if you're trying to bring love into your life, or some sort of thing that you have an emotional connection to around the life that you want, it could be that there is a dissonance between what you're trying to manifest and what is still in your energetic field. So if there are still some regrets from the past, some of the blessing may be to help you move beyond that, to move to the Ace of Cups. So there's a very strong heart center to this. And there's a very strong thing around relationship. Now, it could be around, this is all being triggered by a new love coming in. Like literally, for some of you, I'm getting, you could connect in, maybe even to a bit of a soul twin, picking up the twin energy of Gemini through dreams, and that's going to help you shift. This is part of it brings in something else. If there's a love relationship that you didn't manifest or didn't become part of the life that you wanted it to be, it could be because something else is coming in. There's certainly the sense of an old order, old structure, old relationship dissolving now. It's done its time. And there is a bit of courage required. So it's like, it's almost as though there's a kind of a courage to turn the mind off and just manifest what you now want to bring in, because there's something that either feels at odds with something you used to want, or that you feel like you kind of built something to a particular level and then it didn't really last. So there's a courage to move forward. And, I feel for a lot of you it's about loving again, but it could also be about allowing the emotional energy in and the courage to create something new when something didn't work out. But I just feel like your mind is a little bit at war with what you want to manifest. Getting back to your heart and working out what was the disappointment, or why did something not go long term, is the answer. And it's either going to come as wisdom through your sleep, or once you get the aha that that's what's going on, that's what's happening, there's almost a sense of like detaching and allowing sleep to quiet your mind, because for some of you that's what needs to happen. And I know this feeling. My mind can go at 1,000 miles an hour when I'm worried about something. So I think there's a little bit of that kind of energy around how that affects the sleep for some of you. But for others, I think there's, whether it's a prophecy of a new love coming in, or just a sort of sense of finally dissolving that which didn't work to allow in what could, and to feel the courage for that, to allow it to manifest, is how you're going to feel. I think you're going to feel the intimation of the new. that's when you know that this blessing is coming through. But for some, it's almost like the precursor or the first sign will be that you don't go to bed worried about it. It kind of like the mind shuts off and allows you to sleep. And that may be to bring that energy through. So how do you use this blessing to your highest good? The Star, that's lovely. The Knight of Pentacles reversed. The Queen of Wands reversed. The Three of Cups reversed. Now, it's interesting. I get a very strong sense of this, and it's almost non-traditional way of reading the cards, but I think it makes sense. See, normally I would see like the reversals as being suppressing some of this energy, but we're talking about a blessing, and we're talking about allowing something new in after something didn't work. So I think what this is saying is, firstly, with that Ten of Pentacles and Knight of Pentacles, both of them being reversed, I think that the first step is to let go of what didn't. It almost feels like for some of you, you're overanalyzing why something didn't happen. And that's actually just kind of it's putting a spoke in the gears, or on the wheel. You can't move forward. So part of this blessing is the blessing to let go and to not feel you have to stay committed to something just because you thought you were building it. It's like there's something new coming in. That's the first thing. The second thing is that very traditionally with the Star, this is part of your life path. You are, what is coming in now, whatever is leaving wasn't. But you've got to detach from it to allow it to come in, and you've got to have the courage to do it. And this, either just by having more sleep so you have the energy, or because something's coming through your dreams, that's something that is going to put you on the right path rather than the path that was never going to be long term. But I am getting that it's not that this was wasted or you need to feel, it was like sometimes you have to know what you don't want to finally work out what you do. Then I'm getting here, Queen of Wands reverse would normally be not self-actualizing and not seeing your own power, but I feel like you are going to do that. And Three of Cups reverse would suggest, like not letting joy in. I think that's not how these are operating in this. I think that this is operating because we're talking about sleep. I think it is saying, I do think for many of you, you're going to dream about a love or dream about new friendships or dream about a celebration and dream about all you could be when you manifest your life, and it's coming through the liminal space. So I think this is almost tilting towards most people who are drawn to this reading. It's not so much that you are having sleep problems. I mean, some of you may, and this may be the agitation energy that needs to be worked through to let this through, but for most of you, there is some vision of yourself, potentially in a love relationship, or just a vision of yourself being very happy in yourself that has to come through sleep. That's where you first see it. So interestingly, let's ask what you don't see at the moment around this blessing. Four of Swords, Ace of Swords reversed, the Emperor. Okay, so this kind of depends because this reading is collective, so it's going to mean different things to different people. But one thing that immediately jumps out of this for me is the term all work and no play makes whoever it is a dull person. It's like I think for some of you, there's a lot of mental agitation, a lot about creating the life that you want, which connects to career, connects to personal brand, all of that. This is having an impact. I think that it is saying that you need to take time on it. And again, if that's the case, that in your dreams, you're actually going to, in a meditation and those sort of things where you quieten the mind, you actually let the new inspiration coming through. So for some, this is going to be about love and that kind of thing. And it's like you're going to meet the person in a way and meet the true self that you could be with that person in the dream state before you meet them. But for others, this is also, and that could be, and whether you're divine feminine, divine masculine, it's like that kind of energy, bringing that into being. The Queen of Wands meets the Emperor, that kind of energy could be operating there. And it's like, it's only in the dream state that this is allowed to be at first born. That's where you actually have to kind of connect to your dreams. But for others of you, this is about putting so much effort into the material world, maybe not feeling it's quite working out. You find your own sovereignty, you find your own capacity through the meditative or sleep process because it unlocks something. So you're not seeing the nexus between the two, whether it's in terms of love or whether it's in terms of career or something like that. You're not seeing the nexus between either sleep problems or the messages that are coming in your sleep and what this means about what you're trying to manifest. But if you make that aha moment, you make that connection, then the blessing can come through. Okay, so as I said, this is going to be a relatively quick reading in as much as I now just want to look at what there is in terms of astrology. And I'm using a particular deck that has different planets. And what I'm going to do is, firstly, I'm going to deal out to see different planets that are connected around this energy. This could be either things that are in your natal chart, or it could be things that are in transit to your natal chart, or it's just an energy that's illustrative. It doesn't have to literally connect with your chart. But I'm going to get 3 cards, and what I'm going to do is I've actually got a separate astrology deck that I have that has a number of things in it, like planets, like aspects. And I'm going to shuffle and look at the aspect that's involved to see how those planets are working together. And in some cases, it may talk about something that needs a 3rd or a 4th planet. So I've also got the other deck ready if I need to find other planets to connect. But these first ones will be the very primary core part of it, whatever happens. So you'll see as we go through. So the first astrology connection that connects to how you can tap into this through either better sleep, where you can quieten your mind and let it come through, or just through the liminal space and dreams and the information that's coming to you. The first thing we have is Sun, Neptune. Well, that makes perfect sense. Quite before I even look at the aspect, Sun is daylight. So this is like daylight. You may have been particularly favouring what you could do in the day, and that's also where literally you've got the sort of sun burning here. There could be burnout sort of issues around things. But Neptune is the liminal space, and it's the space of sleep. So this is very much showing that what is happening in your day life, waking life, is connected very strongly to Sun and Neptune. So I'm going to just shuffle, as I say, the part of the deck that has the aspect, just to see how Sun and Neptune are working for you at the moment. Square, okay, yeah. So that's it. At the moment, they're in tension. At the moment, and I feel this is a sense of being a bit overheated, a bit focused on the day compared to the liminal space. And that is not to say that the day is not important. In fact, it may be the balancing thing that you need, because the square is not necessarily bad. The square actually calls to action. And so it's a tension that calls to action. So this is saying to me there's a tension between your day life and your night life, so to speak. And there is a call to action. So if you resonate to the concept that you may be a bit more focused on the day than the night, if you bring that into balance, then both can be there. And then they work well together because they're causing action. But while you see them as different, they almost work against each other. So there's a blessing here, I think, to bring the power of sleep, the nighttime, the liminal space to you. Okay, let's get a second astrology card. The Moon and Venus. Okay, this does make me think, for many of you, this is about love. Moon again, the moon is here, moon connecting to the owl, Minerva, all of that kind of thing. There's something about love and what you would find beautiful, and therefore what is part of the good life that you would want to have that is connected here. Let's see the aspect between Moon and Venus operating. Trine. So yes, this is where it will be easeful. The action is the hard thing. The action is doing whatever you need to do to give the prominence that you need to bring it into balance between your nighttime and your daytime, so that you open up the kind of liminal space. When you do that, the emotional connection, the energy, waking up that Ace of Cups will operate very well. There is an easeful energy there, and it will be easeful in that nighttime space. Okay, and then thirdly, Venus to Venus. Okay, so that is by necessity something happening in this time period, because it will be transiting Venus to Venus. So the other ones could be things in your chart, or one or other planet could be transiting and bringing this energy in. It's very much about love or what is beautiful. Even if it is around career, it's got something to do with what you would love. So let's see what transiting Venus is doing to natal Venus. Stellium. Okay, so that tells me that it's forming like a stellium. So a stellium is more than 2 planets. It's 3 or more planets together. So I think I don't know that astrology technically talks about a transiting planet creating a stellium, but for the purposes of this, I think what this is saying is that Venus is connected to at least one other planet, and then transiting Venus operates with it. So I'm just going to use the other part of this deck to see what other planet is involved here. The Sun. Okay, and so it creates a perfect circle back. I think this is saying, this looks to me like it's saying that there is a pathway here. This blessing is a pathway. It is to bring in the power of the liminal space, the dream state, to quiet your mind so that you can let that through, to get better sleep if you need it. There's just a feeling of being overheated about something, you know, a relationship that didn't work, a career that didn't work, something, some blockage. But letting that go, the going into liminal space, there is an ease in letting that go. And then that love energy of this time, this moment when the blessing is coming through with your core love energy connects to your life path, connects back to that. So I feel like this is, as I say, it's not saying that you should, you know, just do everything through the dream state. It's saying that these things need to be balanced and connected, and that will bring what is beautiful, that will bring what is close to your heart. So what we're going to finish with, as I say, pretty quick reading, is what the second blessing is. So let's see what we get there. Oh my goodness. A blessing on your day. Yeah, it's a perfect circle. I think for most of you, if you're drawn to this, you've probably had sleep problems, or as I say, you've had very profound dreams and you're trying to figure out what that is. And either way, the sleep problems are to help you quieten your mind so that you can get this information. You're meant to get this information and you're meant to do it in that space, but it is a perfect circle, because then what you can connect to in your heart and your dreams and your visions in the liminal space, at the nighttime, call to action to do that, it circles back and it blesses your day. Like, that's perfect. That's perfect. So I think this is a very beautiful message, a very beautiful blessing. And I think whichever it is, if you need to quieten your mind, know that in doing it, that's where the answers are going to come. You know, tossing and turning at night, thinking, trying to come up with a strategy, it's not the way. Try not to think about it, doing whatever. You meditate before you go to sleep, go and have a warm bath before you go to bed, whatever it is, whatever you need to do. That's one side of it, so you can get in touch with that. But if you aren't experiencing that, then there's something very key in what you will get from your dreams that helps you manifest in your day the life that you want. So I hope that you enjoyed that reading. I hope that it resonates. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with a blessing for solace and hope. And there's a couple of cards here from the White Owl Mystic, just to give a little bit more of an idea about how this blessing is going to play out. We'll look in far more detail with tarot about it. But as I said in the introduction, you may have come here because you either are looking for solace from some disappointment or looking for hope about something that you are wanting to bring into being, or some combination of it. Or just you might have been drawn to it. If you're drawn to it, I think it's saying that because this is primarily blessing, I think it would be tilting towards the hope. So it may be a kind of a hidden hope or an unrealised hope yet, or one that is going to, come up in the near future, and therefore you see the blessing of having had this blessing and understanding how to deal with it. What you've got here is there's many different things within the White Owl Mystic, including, signs, but it's also a bunch of other things. So it's interesting we've got a couple of signs here. I think it's showing sort of aspects or areas of life and how they interact. So with Virgo and Aries, if this feels primarily at this point, though we will see what tarot says, to be probably about material things in life, your ambitions, your personal brand, who you want to be, and almost the structure, decisions and materiality of bringing that into being. So it feels like either you've sort of felt an ambition was not stable, was not able to be brought in, or you were in some sort of environment or system that wasn't allowing it. Or you have a hope around moving forward, starting your own business, getting a promotion, something like that. And there is a blessing to say that whatever the tension is here between the structures of your life, the things that you do, the routines that you do, all of that kind of thing, and your personal ambition, there is a blessing coming through on that, something that is going to really work out for you. So let's look with tarot at what this blessing, how you will first see this blessing manifest. Knight of Cups, Eight of Cups reversed, Seven of Cups reversed. Nine of Cups reversed. Oh, this is interesting. This is very emotional. Ace of Pentacles reversed. Okay. So I didn't feel particularly, for some, okay, like let's step it back. If this is, because Aries and Virgo spoke to me more of the material world, routines, all the things of the sixth house, Aries, all the things of the first house, who you are in the world. And I still think for most that it is probably more to do with that. It could also be about you attracting your partner and what the structures are in your life. So that is possible. And maybe you found that difficult to balance, say, your ambitions, your career and everything, and all the ambitions and career of potential partners and your own life routine. So that is a possibility because there's a lot of cups here. But it's also possible that this, because we've got Ace of Pentacles reversed here, it suggests that there is something that either you didn't feel really took off around the kind of materiality of something that you're doing and you're kind of hoping you can resurrect that, or it's something that's there, you know it's there, and so the hope is kicking in, like, can I do that? So how do you know that this is starting to manifest? Some form of offer that has an emotional importance is coming. So it could be, you know, if it is around career, you could be offered another job. If it's around a business sort of thing, you could be offered, you know, a client could come through, something like that. If it is around love, then there's an emotional offer coming to you. And the issue for you will be, and this is where Virgo has to be watched, this is why solace and hope is important and why the blessing is here to help you, is that with the Eight of Cups, the Seven of Cups and the Nine of Cups reversed, there's almost it's almost like, you know, hope is something that to you is sort of you have if you don't think something's going to happen. And I'm a bit like that. So I know this energy, but there's a kind of almost a preemptive cynicism operating that triggers when you can see something coming. So that's when you know, this is what I'm saying here, is that's when you know that the blessing is coming through. That's when you need to believe in it. Because Virgo will deconstruct and Virgo will analyze to death. And again, I know because I've got a lot of Virgo in my chart. And Virgo would go into some sort of new offer coming in that has some potential, immediately going into all the things that haven't worked before. Let's be realistic, you know, nothing's as good as it seems. Would it be joyful? So there's a pattern in here that maybe has come from something that didn't work out. But this is saying that you're meant to own the hope. That's the blessing, because this one has real potential, whether it's a relationship, a career, whatever it might be. But you are a bit wary of hope. In fact, I almost feel that most of you got drawn here with the solace rather than the hope, but the real message is around the hope. So that's interesting. So let's ask, how can you use this blessing for your highest good? Ace of Swords reversed. Ace of Cups. The Starr. Knight of Wands. Okay, right. Yeah. Quiet the mind down. You know, when sort of emotional things that you think, oh, it could be too good to be true, come along, something like that, the mind kicks in and goes, I'm not going to sort of like hope for something that's not going to happen. And as I say, that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Allow belief that something good is coming, because you've got here the Ace of Pentacles, albeit that these are reversed, these are blessings even if they're reversed, but this is a blessing of something material that can build and grow, that hasn't yet happened but is coming, and it's coming via an offer or an opportunity, and you just need to kind of like get back into your heart. So this is saying, when it comes, while you're very clever and you'll be able to use it, quiet the mind down first, because it's going into the self-protect mode, and open your heart to this. This is something you're meant to have, and move forward with confidence. That's that, you know, whether this is love, whether this is, you know, career, whatever it is. It's like, when the thing comes, don't second guess it. That's basically what it's saying. So what don't you see, or what aren't you aware of now that would help you with that? The High Priestess, the Three of Swords, the Devil. Wow, okay. You're very, very psychic, very, very spiritual. You may not think that of yourself, or if you do, you may not connect it with what's going to happen around, you know, your career or around your love, whatever this is. You can be entrapped in pain, though. This is the problem, because you actually go to such great depths and great levels, and you are very psychically attuned. There's what I see here. It's very interesting. If you're someone who is a bit prophetic. You're the sort of person, whether it's, you can see big things happening in the world before they happen, or whether it's as simple as you think of someone and 2 minutes later they ring you. There's like telepathy and prophecy and all of those things that I think are very strongly entwined. What can happen is that you can sometimes have a thought and it's not pleasant, and you think, oh, I don't want that to be psychic, but you half expect it to be. Or you can think of something good and you think, well, is that a psychic sort of inclination, or am I just fooling myself? And I think this is what's going on here. I think that you don't realize how much you do get real communication from a liminal that is actually going to bring the right things for you. You kind of, as I say, you protect yourself by going, you'd be more likely to go along with a negative thing that you thought was going to happen. You go, oh yeah, but something that's positive, you kind of think, oh, could I believe that, or am I kidding myself? And so you're hiding that energy, and you're then getting trapped in the pain of the material. Like, what's the material? So where's the proof? So this is really a blessing to let you understand that this energy is coming through, and this offer's coming through for you to ultimately structure your life and your ambition in a way, or your love and your life in a way that works for you. But you don't realize how much you have an expectation of pain. And as I say, and maybe you're particularly, with your psychic ability, maybe you're particularly good at looking at the shadow, and that's great, but the shadow only exists because there's light. So it's like getting that into balance. So what we want to do is we want to get a little bit of astrological help with this. So I have a particular deck that has planets together. Now, these could either be planets that were in an aspect in your natal chart, or it could be transiting planets working on each other. That doesn't really matter too much for the purposes of this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 3 cards to get a little bit more information about the energy that's operating around this blessing. And when I've drawn the planets, I have a different astrology deck where I've taken out all the cards that are aspects, and we'll see the aspect. And in some cases, the aspect may need an additional planet or 2. And so I've also got from that second deck the planets, just in case we need to do that as well. So the first planetary signpost or guide for you to get you to understand that something good's coming in, it is a real blessing, and not to kind of naysay it, because you are very psychic, but you just tilt towards the shadow so that you can also enjoy the light. The first astrology energy is Chiron to Chiron. Okay, so transiting does matter when it's the same thing. It can only be that your Chiron, it doesn't literally have to be happening in your chart. This is just meant to show an energy, because this is a collective reading. But it is Chiron somehow aspect. So transiting Chiron, aspecting natal Chiron. And this is about healing. Chiron is all about healing. And it's where do you not heal yourself too? Because it's like, where, as I say, do you get trapped in not expecting the best when the best could come through, because it's connected to the wounded healer. So let's see the actual aspect that transiting Chiron is doing to your Chiron in the sense of as an energy for this reading and this blessing. Conjunction. Oh, right. Okay. So they're together. Now, conjunctions can be very, very positive, but what it is it's on turbocharge. So Chiron's wish to heal and understand and integrate does have a very Virgoan energy in that way, is both happening, kind of transit, is very much of this moment. When I see these cards which are transit, it tells me that this is very much of the moment that you are getting this. This is either happening already or it's happening very soon. There is a very, very great chance to heal this thing now, because this is something good that is coming through. And it's almost as though, even though you're going to push back a bit, if you allow it to come through, it will prove something to you. It'll prove to you that it's not risky to hope. So that's very powerful. It's a very powerful healing energy operating with this blessing. Okay, the second astrological signpost for you is Moon and Mercury. Okay, so this will have something to do with how your emotions operate with your mind and communication that's coming in. I do think you're telepathic and prophetic. So I think that this is how that energy coming in on an emotional level, how that energy, that communication energy is coming in, how are you processing that emotionally? Because as I say, there's an emotional thing here around it, regardless of whatever aspect of your life this blessing is occurring in. So let's see the aspect between Moon and Mercury. Opposition. Okay, yeah, there's a kind of at the moment, there's a kind of a They're working against each other. Oppositions can be good. Any of the challenging aspects can be good in as much as they're a call to action. So I think there is a call to action here. But this is something about how you expect, what you expect of communication and what you feel are in opposition to each other. How you communicate with others and what you feel could be in opposition to each other. You could be with Aries and Virgo there in a very strict sort of environment where you can't say what you really feel. But there's some calling towards integration. So the opposition might be the catalyst that takes you to a different environment, for instance. Okay, and let's get a third astrological signpost for you. Sun and Uranus. Okay, so the life path and major change. So there's a major change here, and liberation, like the devil with the Three of Swords. At its best, this liberates you from painful processes, painful beliefs, all of that kind of thing. It opens up the inner rebel and it brings you to your life path. So let's see the aspect that's operating between Sun and Uranus for you. Trine. This is the time. This is going to be easier than you think. The change that you are wanting, but possibly like not even daring to hope, is going to happen much more than you think. Aries, what your life path is, who you are meant to be in the world and how you can manifest that is going to happen, but it's happening through change. Healing, balancing your own inner conflict about it and change. That's what this is all about. So as I said, to finish off, it's just a quick reading because we're really just talking about a blessing and how it operates. Is a second blessing. Now, this second blessing could either be a natural follow-on from this, or it could be a complementary blessing. So it may be different for different people here. The blessing we get is a blessing to lift sadness. Yeah, you're going to lift that Three of Swords. So look, I don't mean this as a criticism. I think that you probably had some cherished dreams and you kind of wanted them, but the environment wasn't letting you for some reason, and you probably knew way before it happened. And so you've got this preemptive sort of pessimism because your psychic ability is often shown up in being right about things not working. The thing about this now is your psychic ability and your healing ability is going to show up to change your life and work. So that's the one thing. Lift the sadness. Believe this is going to be easier than you think. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to a blessing for healing of injury or illness. And as I said in the introduction, that could be because you've had an injury or illness. If not, it could be because you're drawn to this energy, Spirit's drawn you to the energy because there is potentially even a risk. It may in fact be how to avoid that, or it might be to know that it's coming and know what to do. So we'll sort of see as we go through the reading that the nature of how this blessing actually manifests. But it's obviously got to do with something around one sort of physical, emotional, spiritual being. It could be any of those three because we can feel an injury or illness in our spirit as much as we can in our body. But that there is something in that around this blessing for you. And what is interesting is we've got these cards on the White Owl Mystic. We've got the sign Leo, which is all about being in the world, drama, warmth, can be incredibly loyal, wonderful sign in many ways, dramatic, all of those things, but it's about personal sovereignty, all of that kind of thing. And then we have energy Yang. And I do feel that Leo often comes across a little bit like divine masculine. So obviously you don't have to be a man to be a Leo, but there's that sort of sense of the king of the jungle type of energy, and then the Yang energy. I think that this is potentially saying one of two things, and it may be different depending on who comes, or we may find with tarot that it becomes very clear which it is. Either this is a warning or a blessing to deal with burnout. Like, I think those two together could be burnout, or it's the exact opposite. It's like the thing that's going to heal any kind of actual or potential injury or illness is to really go forward with action, with confidence, with a sense of self, with personal sovereignty. So it probably depends very much on what the tarot says. If the tarot is a bit equivocal, then it will depend upon who's come to the reading. So we do have a card over here which will be the final blessing at the end, that either is the next step or complements this in some way. But what we're going to ask of tarot firstly is, how will you first see this blessing manifest? Because that may tell us a little bit about whether it's getting over burnout or whether it's exactly the opposite and it's bringing in this energy of action and vitality and ambition and all of those sorts of things. So you're first going to see it with Two of Pentacles, Ace of Swords reversed, Ten of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, Seven of Wands reversed. Okay, all right. I don't think it's burnout. Like some of you it might be. Some of you it might be. But if it is, what I can say is if it is like burnout, it's of a very temporary time. Because with Two of Pentacles upright, Ten of Pentacles upright, Knight of Pentacles upright, you have a very strong constitution. I do not feel this is so much a healing around something physical. If it is, that's a very good prospect that that's going to get better. And it might be through dedicated use of action and that kind of energy. What it is saying is that you will know is when you are called upon to do something that takes a little bit of courage, the next level, the next creative venture, whatever it might be. And where you're not entirely sure yet whether you have the long-term idea sorted out, but it's time to just go in with confidence and act. And the blessing is going to be helping you make the choices that create a legacy and something you would be committed to. And as I say, on a physical, emotional, whatever it is, getting that sort of balance and nourishment coming in. So I think it is this acting rather than being burnt out. But if you are burnt out, then it's just simply saying you have the constitution, just take a little bit of time out and you'll then be able to charge forward and continue with what you're doing. Like if it's a burnout type thing, it feels very much like Nine of Wands, where there's that sense like you're near the end of a marathon and where you get the second wind. And I think we'd be saying, yes, you would. But I think for most of you, it's saying that it's time to move forward and take action with something, a belief in something, because there is a really great material option that you could really work with. Now, it could be very physical because it's talking about healing. This could be that you kind of think, I feel a little bit lethargic. I don't have this action. My life's really sedentary, and you take up an exercise routine, and before you know it, you're running marathons. Like it depends on what it is, but you do have a really strong constitution as a base. But it is like just taking action, being happy to take action. That's why we've got the Yang principle. That's why we've got Leo. And this is about you, like taking some time for you. If any of this is also that you're a bit burnt out from giving to everybody else, you need to like withdraw a bit from that so that you can build your own constitution. So that's about getting your energy back. But I think for most of you, it's more that it's time to use your energy. So let's see, how do you use this blessing to its highest good? Three of Cups reversed, Four of Swords, Seven of Swords reversed, Two of Wands reversed. Okay, so this is saying that, I do think it is saying that for most of you it is taking your energy forward, but this is giving you some almost boundaries to make sure that you don't burn out or anything like that. Firstly, it is saying that if you are feeling emotionally unfulfilled, you should take time out. It's not the time to act when that's the case. It's like you need to sort of go within and get real about that and determine how you use your energy. So I think it's sort of saying that there is a lot of untapped energy here, or it's misdirected. You've been doing it for everybody else and you need to do it for yourself, whichever it is. And the barometer around knowing when it's right to act and how to make that choice is if something doesn't feel emotionally right, then that's the time to retreat and work it out and really be honest with yourself about it. Because the important thing now is that you have these reserves of energy and you do have like the physical, emotional, spiritual, you're robust, you're ready to do it. But it's like don't dissipate it in things that you don't want to do. There's a kind of a contemplative energy, which is fine. That helps you work out how to use this energy because there's choices materially and kind of almost creatively around it. So what don't you see? And that might be very important. This might be the thing if you've got an inkling, oh, this doesn't feel right. Like I got lots of energy, I want to do something, but this doesn't feel like it's going to create the celebration that I want. But am I being honest with myself? This is the process. So what don't you see? Because that could be helpful in determining that when you are sorting that through. Page of Swords, Six of Swords, Queen of Cups. Okay, so firstly it's saying you kind of underestimate how well tuned your emotional capacity is. That's why that's the thing that'll tell you. It's why if it doesn't feel emotionally right, you need to trust that you maybe don't. You maybe haven't really kind of understood how emotionally attuned you are. So understanding that so that you know that's the trigger, that's when you should be sort of thinking about how you make your choice. It's also saying that there is more information to come, and it's possibly even like researching information. Like this is the card, amongst other things, of the internet, like it's almost like getting other viewpoints and so forth, getting other, researching it in some way. It doesn't mean that you have to do what other people say, but there's something where that will help you navigate the direction you want as well. So there's sort of a process of like the swords and the wands are really what it's all about for you now, because it's saying that the pentacles, the kind of robustness of it is there, and your emotional stuff is off the charts. You're really, really clear on all of that. So the call to action and the call to analysis, they're the two things. And your emotional trigger is the thing that will let you know when you've got to analyze and get a bit more information. The rest of the time you go forward with confidence and with action. So this is interesting because it's healing and so forth in a different way. And it could be around, if it's a medical thing, it could be that if you feel that something is not quite right, get the information, because that will give you the options and the energy to deal with it. So, if it is that literally, but I think for most it's more about how you use your energy and how you activate your dreams rather than something that's necessarily physical. Okay, so what we're also going to do in looking at the energy of this blessing is that I have an astrology deck that has just planets, and it's 2 planets together. And they could be planets that are, in some aspect in a natal chart, or they could be a transiting planet to a natal planet. But what I want to do, I want to get 3 cards to get some more information. And then I have another deck that I have actually taken out the aspect cards, and we will see what the aspect is. And in some cases, an aspect may bring a 3rd or a 4th planet in. So I've also, from that second deck, got ready in case we need to sort of get another planet or 2. So you'll see as this goes through how this works. So I'm just asking for some astrological signposts. It may literally be in your chart, or they just may be within this collective energy, a good way of describing it. So the first one is Jupiter and Uranus. Okay, good fortune, expansion, and change. So yeah, this sort of like, this is very much this feeling. It's like it's time to grow, it's time to act, it's time to take the blessing. I mean, Jupiter is a blessing, and Uranus, it's about change. So let's see how those 2 energies are interacting in this blessing. Stellium, okay. So stellium tells me, so this would be like it's either a transiting planet that's creating a stellium by being with 2 other planets that are close together in a chart, or it could be that these are 2 planets together and there at least needs to be a 3rd planet to really understand the energy. So we have expansion, we have change, and then if I get an additional planet or asteroid, we have Mercury. Communication. Communication is the other bit of this. The change opportunities, the energy coming through, the blessing is also very mercurial. It's very much about what you understand of things, your beliefs, your structures, and how you communicate with others. So that's going to be very important in how you really manifest this blessing. So I think it connects with other people in some way. So then let's see a second astrology signpost for you. Saturn and Chiron. So this is like karmic lessons. It's things that have taken time. Now, for some, this literally could be about healing. I mean, this is about healing on some level. For some of you, there could be a physical thing. I think there's a blessing around it, so it's not anything to worry about. But there could be like time taken to research and get the right outcome. Otherwise, it could be saying that making sure you use your energy and have the right boundaries around all of this and how you use your energy is going to be very important, because it can also be a healing process and also a preventative. I feel like more like a preventative healing process. So let's see how Saturn and Chiron are working together for this blessing. Trine, they're working well together. So that's excellent. So Saturn at its height can bring you the structure, can bring you the clarity that you need, and the long-term solutions and the stamina, all those things, which really fits with that sense that you're very robust. You really are strong. And then Chiron, it allows sort of healing energy to get everything into balance. They work well together. So Saturn isn't kind of slowing down or stopping healing. Healing isn't sort of like somehow stopping you get a sense of stability. They're working really well together for this blessing. Okay, and then one more astrology signpost. Venus and Pluto. Okay, so for some of you, this could bring in love. There was a lot about emotion there, potentially. But otherwise it's what you find beautiful, what you find is a divine feminine connected with change. There's very strong change energy around this, actually. This is why it's really good. We've got Saturn and Chiron in a very good aspect to each other to give you the stability and the healing process that comes from a lot of change, like revolutionary and sort of evolutionary change. So, but it is a blessing. And they're two of the more benefic planets too. So that's good. But let's just see how Venus and Pluto are operating around this blessing. Grand trine, okay, very good energy. And there's a third planet. So a grand trine is sort of like the sort of ease and the sort of everything coming together on steroids in a way. So let's see what the third planet is operating with Venus and Pluto for this blessing. Black Moon Lilith, wow, okay, there's some healing around, and I think this connects with this, but Black Moon Lilith is a very powerful shadow energy. So I feel as though there's something about clarity and change around what really matters to you on an emotional level, what you would want to draw to yourself and how you use your energy. There's definitely something a bit vampiric sometimes about Black Moon Lilith as well too. So what it could be saying is that this is going to give you a new and stronger sort of constitution for whatever it is that you're doing, however you're using your energy. It's a change that's very benefic. Communicating with others is very important. If there is a level on which you could be drawn into this is why communication. So I think it's interesting in Mercury and Black Moon Lilith kind of naturally fallen that way. The one place where this could get out of balance, and this is why the energy stuff is so important, is through love or through those that you care about and those who are also transforming. At its very best, this could be you then taking this and helping others with exactly the sort of thing, having sort of understood the process yourself. At its most challenging, it could say that the one point where you could be taken off course is if you're drawn into other people's stuff because you care about them. But if you understand that, you can use Saturn here and Chiron to help them and also to put the boundaries around it. So very interesting. So what we're going to finish with is a second blessing card. Now this blessing card may complement this energy or it might be the next step. We'll see what we get. A blessing to bring clarity. This is why we've got the swords coming out. This is clarity for you about how to use your energy and so forth for your highest good and also for the highest good for others. But I do think there may be something about eventually you use this to help others. It may be a healing modality or something you go through and you kind of like work it out and then you communicate it to others and you bring clarity to others. So this could be like the next step, but certainly if it's not the next step, it's complementing this energy of go forward with confidence with the clarity you need to use the energy at its highest good. So I hope that you enjoyed the reading. I hope it resonated for you. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.